the situation is you've got a team member who's not performing as well as they could. They're aware of this, and you're trying to give them advice on how to improve their performance, and they're not taking your advice. So the first thought that comes to mind for me is it kind of goes to the heart of what motivates people, which is that if we don't have a clear understanding of what is motivating an individual, then we might be giving advice that isn't really aligned with what motivates them. So, some people, like, you might say, well, shoot, they know they need to fix this, so they might end up having to work on a different team. Shouldn't that be motivation enough? And I think for some people the answer is no. That might not be their biggest fear, or that might not be something that's really a huge concern to them. So there might be a little bit of back work that needs to go into this. And what I mean by that is it might be, if you don't know already, it might be really good use of your time to find out what this person really values in terms of what they want to achieve at work. Where do they want to be in their career 3 years from now? What's valuable to them away from work? And because once you have that understanding, now you can align your efforts with what's really important to them. And then if you add to that, coming at it from the point of, as we discussed a little earlier, instead of you giving the advice, you help them come up with their own plan, and you might guide and steer a little bit. You can get an incredibly higher amount of buy-in. And you might think of this from your own experience. Think of somebody who's kind of maybe just like told you should do something. Maybe they're not your boss, but maybe like a friend. Like, oh, hey, if you really want to achieve this, you should do it. You should go do this. And depending, even if it's somebody you respect, you might not do it, because it's just sometimes when it's coming from an external source like that, we're not as likely to engage. So if you can get the person to come up with a plan, and again, you might guide them with it, then buy and improve. So what that might look like is, let's say in your next one-to-one, if you haven't done this already, you ask the person about what's important to them at work, away from work, what their career goals are, what they want to achieve in the next quarter, what they want to achieve in the next year, where they want to be in 3 years. And then you don't necessarily need to do this all in one conversation, but after you have their goals, then you could kind of think about, all right, well, where are the performance issues that they're having? How is that going to prevent them from achieving the goals that they've told me are important to them? And so now you kind of can come at it. You're coming in with a game plan, and this is where it gets a little tricky, because you kind of already know the answer, but your job is to not give them the answer. Your job is to come in and say, all right, so I remember last week you were talking about, you have this goal, you have goal A, goal B, and goal C. What are some of the things you think you need to do more of to achieve those goals? What are some of the things you need to do less of to achieve those goals? And again, you're kind of letting the person decide. You might ask some guiding questions here and there, but you're letting them talk through and think through, oh yeah, if I'm doing this, that's probably going to prevent me from hitting that goal. I should do less of that. Or if I'm not doing enough of this and I want to hit that goal, I should probably do more. And then you could get a little more pointed and say, if they don't come up with what you're looking for, you could just ask straight out. So is there anything that you think is happening right now that is preventing you from hitting your goals, or any one of these goals? And invariably, there should be a connection. I mean, especially if somebody has any aspiration to get a promotion or a pay raise, if they're having performance issues, that's clearly going to be in the way of that happening, right? So now they're the one telling you, this is a problem because this performance issue is I can see now how this is preventing me from hitting a goal that's important to me. And then you could ask, well, what help would you like for me um, to overcome this block to you hitting the goal? Or you could say, so what's your plan? I'm sorry, the first step would be to ask them, so what do you think you could do to overcome this block? What type of plan do you think you can come up with for overcoming this block? And then you let them formulate a plan, and you might offer a little bit of kind of steering questions, but again, the goal is, if possible, to let them come up with a solution. And then you could ask, okay, this sounds like a good plan. If you don't think it's a good plan, you don't have to say that, obviously. You could say, well, yeah, so there's some really good, strong elements to this plan. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And let them add those components to finalize the plan. And then you could say, like, well, by when do you want to achieve this? When would you like to start implementing this plan? And by when do you hope to see results? And then the final question is, and what help do you need from me? I think we should check in with some type of frequency on things I could be doing to help. When would you like to do that? Should it be once a week? Should it be once every 2 weeks? And ideally, if this is done skillfully, the person will come up with their own solution. It might have been exactly what you have already told them or what you would tell them, but it's amazing when it comes out of their own brain and out of their own mouth, the odds of them actually doing it, especially if you're coming at it from this perspective of, I'm just a coach and I want to help, I want to give you what you need to achieve the goal that you set. It's a whole different dynamic.